Okay, today is a Friday, the 25th maybe. I'm going to make a video, I'm going to probably put this out next Tuesday, about how we're going to deal with the upcoming heat wave. And it's supposed to be record-breaking heat this next week. Even today it's in the, I think it's supposed to get in the upper 80s, which isn't too bad. But when you get up into the 90s and it's supposed to be up into the hundreds for like 3 or 4 days in a row next week, that's, pretty hot. So I'm going to just give you a couple tips of what we're doing, show you what we're doing to try to make everybody comfortable. And one of the first things is to give them more fibrous treats and less starchy things. So they are picking at some beets right now. These are beets. You can see them. I cut them into little squares. These are the beets from last year that we had in our root cellar. And I have new beets growing now, so I figured this is a great time to clean that out. And you might have saw earlier this week I had given them some frozen elderberries. And I know I have some currants in the freezer from last year, and I will give them some currants then next week. And I have enough. I have a couple days worth. And every Monday I always give them comfrey anyway, which is a leafy green, really high in protein. But you definitely don't want to feed them something like corn, because when they metabolize that, it actually heats their body up. So that's a great thing to feed them in the winter time, like the scratch has a lot of corn in it, cracked corn. But that's definitely not something you want to get them when it's going to be hot already. You don't want them little systems heating up. So that's the first tip. Give them a nice, more fibrous type of treat. Let's see. Last week I fermented some radishes and I gave them the tops, and they just loved it. So that's a good treat too. Okay. Second thing is you can give them some electrolytes, and here I have electrolytes I made up and then froze in like those red Solo cups, So it's a nice big block, and I put it in the water, and they want to pick at them. That'll help cool the water down. And another note about the water is that you want to make sure and keep it in the shade. And because they're not going to want to drink warm water, okay? I mean, who does? I mean, I definitely wouldn't like that, to drink hot water. Yeah, it looks like they just would like to peck at the ice too, huh, girls? Well, you'll get some more next week. I'm just starting to make the electrolytes blocks up. I'm not even sure how many I should probably put in here, maybe more than this. But in here, in the barn, this is out of direct sunlight, so this water stays pretty cool anyway. The electrolytes are just, some sugars and salts to help them stay hydrated. I just bought them. Oh yeah, I was going to show you the pack. I bought them at the farm store. Let me show you the pack. It's actually for little chicks. There they are. But, obviously big chicks can make it too. It makes a gallon. Then I think I made up about 10 of these solid cups like that. I'm going to give those, probably even put more of those in with our meat chickens, because they're out in the sun more, although they do have a shaded area, and I'll make sure to put the water in the shade, as much as I can for that. Let's see. The electrolytes. Make sure fresh, cold water. If you have water outside, try to keep it in the shade. And then another thing I'm going to do for the meat chickens, I'm not going to go out there and show this to you, but you get the idea, is I have frozen some nice, good-sized bottles, plastic bottles. That's frozen inside, so I'm going to put a couple of those in the pen. So I think at least four chickens those meat chickens can lay across on this. So that will help keep them cool. And the last thing is that I do this for all the ducks and chickens, is I always I put some sprinklers on. We'll go out here, I'll show you. Put on some sprinklers. So the chickens are out on the south side today. And tomorrow they'll go on the north side. So wherever side they're not at, I put the sprinklers on. And then that makes it cooler for them. So tomorrow they're going to come out on this side. And another thing I might do, because this has this nice shaded area, when it gets to those days where it's 100 every day, probably just going to be putting them out on this side. Because they will hang out here in the shade. And under the elderberry tree, the bush, you see that makes a nice shadow over there. So, so this is, yeah, a good amount of shade. But just having the ground wet, it really does cool it down. And this needs to be mowed. But I do this for all the paddocks, for the ducks, for the meat chickens, and then the laying hens. I just water the area that they're going, you know, the ducks are rotated around the coop, so I just water the area in front of them where they're going to be the next day. Of course, the ducks have a pool, and you know, I was just over there, and a bunch of them were in the pool, so they can keep cool that way too. They have one waterer that's inside the coop. I was actually going to take it out, but now I'm obviously going to leave it in there. And I put some electrolytes in their water that's inside the coop, so they'll have some, get some that way. And that's it. I think that's all my tips. Shade and water is the best thing. If you can get a hold of some electrolytes, that's great. There are recipes, you can Google it. Your own solutions. It's like sugar and salt. The only thing is they want you to put potassium chloride in there, and now I know a lot of people that just have potassium chloride hanging around. You girls hot? Look at them. Are you lifting weights or are you hot? Say, we're getting hot, Mom. It's gonna be hot. Gonna be hot the next few days. Yes, it is. But the barn has windows on every side. In fact, I can even feel a breeze coming through here. So you're gonna make it. We're gonna make it, girls. Huh? It's gonna be hot, but we're gonna make it. Just make sure they have lots of water and shade. All right, bye everyone.